That laugh. You know the one. Roseanne Connor's cackle echoed through living rooms across America, starting October 18th, 1988, announcing that a new kind of TV family had arrived. The Connors weren't the Huxtables or the Seavers. They lived paycheck to paycheck in Lanford, Illinois, shouted at each other over dinner, and wore clothes that looked like they came from actual discount stores instead of wardrobe departments. Welcome to Roseanne, the show that proved blue-collar families could dominate prime time, turned a stand-up comedian with zero acting experience into a television icon, and ended with one of the most controversial finales in TV history that revealed the entire ninth season was a grief-fueled lie.
Hello? Oh, hi, Grandma. Yeah, she's right here.
Today we're counting down 15 weird facts about a sitcom that fired its creator after 13 episodes, made John Goodman audition against nobody because he was that perfect, and got retconned twice because the original ending made everyone miserable. Now, before we dive into the chaos behind that kitchen table, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe because it really helps us keep making content about shows that defined TV. Let's start with number 15. Number 15, Roseanne Barr. Had zero acting experience and producers knew it. In 1985, Roseanne Barr performed her domestic goddess stand-up routine on The Tonight Show. Johnny Carson laughed. Producers Marcy Carsey and Tom Werner watched from their offices and saw dollar signs. They called Barr's agent the next day and offered her a sitcom built around her life.
Nothing. I told you I'm just here for today helping out.
Are you looking?
Barr had never acted. Not in a school play, not in community theater, not even in a commercial. She told jokes on stage and screamed at her kids at home. That was it. Carsey and Werner didn't care. They wanted her voice, her attitude, her ability to make struggling through life look funny instead of depressing. So they built a safety net. They surrounded Barr with seasoned professionals who could carry scenes while she learned on the job. John Goodman came from Broadway and years of character work. Laurie Metcalf was an accomplished theater actress. The kids were all experienced child actors. Carsey literally said, "We had to cast the best possible actors around her so she could learn from them." And here's the ironic payoff. Barr's lack of training became her greatest strength. She didn't know how sitcom characters were supposed to behave, so Roseanne Connor acted like a real person. She interrupted, talked over people, and delivered lines with the timing of someone who'd never heard of timing. It looked authentic because it was authentic. The untrained comedian surrounded by professionals became the most believable mother on television. Sometimes ignorance beats expertise when the job requires truth instead of technique. Number 14. John Goodman was the only actor who auditioned for Dan.
There you go. Chew on this for a while, little lad. Yeah, it's gonna make...
When casting began for Dan Connor, Roseanne's husband, the producers brought in one actor to read opposite Barr, just one. John Goodman walked into the room, looked at Roseanne sitting on a couch and said, "Scoot over." She responded with, "Shut up." He plopped down next to her like he'd been doing it for 16 years. The producers looked at each other and probably mouthed the words, "We're done." That was the audition. Those two lines. That physical chemistry. That immediate sense that these two people had history, arguments, make-up sex, and shared bills in their DNA. Creator Matt Williams later said they knew instantly they'd struck gold. Goodman wasn't trying to play a husband. He was just being himself next to someone whose energy matched his perfectly. No one else even got a chance to try. The producers didn't bother seeing anyone else. Why waste time auditioning other actors when you've already found the person who makes your inexperienced lead look like she's been married to him for decades? Goodman got the job in the room, probably before he even finished sitting down. And here's the beautiful accident. If they'd auditioned other actors first, Goodman might not have felt as natural. The spontaneity of that first read, the unrehearsed chemistry, happened because nobody had established a pattern yet. He walked in fresh and created magic. Number 13. The show's creator got fired. After 13 episodes. Matt Williams created Roseanne. He spent weeks at Barr's house taking notes, watching her interact with her family, studying her stand-up act. He wrote the pilot. He hired the writers. He set up the entire show based on hours of research into Barr's actual life. Then the first episode aired on October 18th, 1988, and the credits said created by Matt Williams. Barr lost it. At the cast viewing party, in front of everyone, she screamed at Williams. How dare he take credit for her life? How dare he steal her stories and claim them as his own creation? This was her family, her experiences, her pain and laughter transformed into scripts. And some guy who'd spent a few weeks watching her was calling it his show. Williams tried to explain that the Writers Guild determines creator credits, that he had nothing to do with it, that he'd developed the concept before Barr was even involved. Barr didn't care. She called it discriminatory. She called it theft. Williams quit after the first season, leaving behind the show he'd conceptualized and launched. He went on to co-create Home Improvement with Tim Allen. Barr brought in new writers, mostly comedy club friends who understood her voice because they'd heard it on stage for years. And here's the ironic legacy. Roseanne became better after Williams left. The show found its authentic voice when Barr took control and surrounded herself with writers who treated her life as the source material it had always been. Williams's creation flourished without him. The creator who got pushed out watched his show become a cultural phenomenon while he worked on other projects. Number 12. There's a different DJ in the pilot that nobody talks about. If you go back and watch the Roseanne pilot, the youngest Connor kid looks wrong. That's because he is wrong.
Hey, Mom, just last week DJ was asking me about big band leaders.
DJ was originally played by actor Sal Barone, who filmed the pilot and then promptly got replaced before the series started. The problem was biological. Barone grew half an inch during the Writers Guild strike that followed the pilot filming. The producers looked at him and realized he was going to keep growing, fast, and DJ needed to stay little for the family dynamic to work. A rapidly aging youngest child would throw off the whole show. But there was another problem. Barone apparently didn't get along with Sarah Gilbert, who played middle child Darlene. On a sitcom where family chemistry is everything, having two of your child actors who don't mesh is a disaster waiting to happen. The producers saw the tension and made a call. Barone was out, Michael Fishman was in. Nobody explained this to viewers. The show just started with a different kid in the role and hoped people wouldn't notice or wouldn't care. And here's the thing audiences didn't know. Macaulay Culkin auditioned for DJ after Barone got cut. This was 2 years before Home Alone made Culkin the biggest child star in the world. The producers passed on him. Fishman got the role and kept it for 9 seasons. The actor who got fired because he grew too fast and didn't click with his co-star vanished from TV history. Number 11, Laurie Metcalf. Wore a curly wig to look like Roseanne's real sister. In the early episodes of Roseanne, Jackie's hair looks weird. It's big, curly, and doesn't quite match Laurie Metcalf's face. That's because it's a wig, and Metcalf was forced to wear it so she'd look more like Roseanne Barr's actual sister. The producers want visual continuity between Roseanne and Jackie to sell the sister relationship. Barr's real sister had curly hair. Metcalf had straight hair. The solution seemed simple.
I'm okay. You come over here, your back is all bruised up, you won't take.
Put Metcalf in a wig and call it authenticity. Metcalf probably hated every second of wearing that thing. It looked unnatural. It didn't move right. And it definitely didn't help an accomplished theater actress deliver her best performance while worrying about whether her fake hair was sliding around on her head. Eventually, someone with common sense realized that Metcalf's acting ability to create a believable sister dynamic mattered more than matching hair texture to Barr's real sibling. The wig disappeared after the first few episodes. Jackie got her real hair back. Nobody watching at home rioted about the sudden change. And here's what the wig story reveals about early Roseanne. The producers were so focused on authentic details that they missed the bigger picture. Real sisters don't need matching hair to feel related. They need chemistry, conflict, and history. Metcalf and Barr had all of that. The wig that was supposed to create authenticity actually undermined it by making Metcalf look like she was wearing a costume. Sometimes the most authentic choice is letting talented actors just be themselves. Number 10. Roseanne took scissors to an actress's hair on set. Alicia Goranson, who played eldest daughter Becky, asked producers if she could cut her hair shorter. They said no. The character had long hair in the pilot, and they wanted consistency. Goranson probably nodded and planned to ask again later. Instead, she went to Roseanne Barr. Not the producers, not the director. The star of the show, who had final say on basically everything because her name was on it. Barr's response was immediate and perfect. She grabbed a pair of scissors and hacked Gorenson's hair short right there on set. No discussion with producers, no consultation with the hair and makeup team. Just Roseanne Barr cutting a teenager's hair with craft services scissors while the crew probably stood there wondering if they should intervene. The producers couldn't do anything about it once the hair was gone. You can't uncut hair. Becky had short hair now, and they'd just have to deal with it. Barr had made an executive decision with scissors, and everyone else had to adjust. And here's what this story reveals about power dynamics on Roseanne. Barr ran that set completely. If she wanted something, she made it happen, even if it meant literally destroying continuity with impromptu haircuts. The producers could say no to Goranson. They couldn't say no to Barr. The actress who couldn't get permission from the people in charge got it from the only person who actually mattered. Number 9. Sarah Gilbert went to Yale while filming and they worked around it. Sarah Gilbert played Darlene, the sarcastic middle child who became the emotional center of the show. When Gilbert got accepted to Yale University, she faced a choice: give up her career or give up her education. The producers made a third option. They considered Gilbert's contribution to Roseanne so essential that they juggled storylines and taping schedules to keep her in the cast while she studied at Yale. They set up a soundstage in New York City where Gilbert could film Darlene's scenes remotely, then edited her into episodes shot in Los Angeles. This was 1990s television. No green screens, no Zoom calls, no easy technological fixes. They literally built a soundstage setup in New York, so one actress could go to college and still be on a sitcom filmed 3,000 miles away. Gilbert attended Yale, maintained her grades, and remained a series regular on Roseanne. The show adjusted to her schedule instead of forcing her to adjust to theirs. That's not normal. Most actors in her position would have been written out or recast. And here's what makes this extraordinary. Gilbert wasn't the star. She was a supporting player. But the producers valued her enough to spend serious money and logistical effort to keep her. That speaks to how good she was and how important Darlene had become to the show's success. The teenage actress who got to go to college while starring on a top-rated sitcom proved you don't always have to choose between dreams when people value you enough to make both work. Number 8. Joss Whedon wrote for Roseanne and got sidelined into creating Buffy. In the second season of Roseanne, a 24-year-old writer named Joss Whedon joined the writer's room. He was young, ambitious, and full of ideas that the show's more established writers and Barr herself didn't particularly want. Whedon wrote an episode where Jackie had an abortion. The producers changed it to a miscarriage. Whedon's scripts got rewritten into unrecognizable shapes. His ideas got shot down in the room. He was getting paid to sit there and contribute, but nobody wanted his contributions. Eventually, someone made a decision that changed television history. They told Whedon to just work on his own stuff for the rest of his contract. Stay on payroll, show up if you want, but stop trying to write Roseanne because it's not working out. Whedon took that time and wrote the screenplay for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The movie version was terrible, but that script led to the TV series that made Whedon one of the most influential showrunners in television. And here's the beautiful irony. Roseanne didn't want Whedon's voice, so he developed his own. The show that rejected him became the incubator where he had time and money to create something that launched his entire career. The writer who got sidelined on a working-class family sitcom used that rejection to write about a teenage girl fighting demons. Sometimes getting pushed aside is the best thing that can happen to your career. Number 7. George Clooney's naked photo was on the set fridge. According to multiple sources, there was allegedly a photo on the Roseanne set refrigerator of George Clooney completely naked, except for Groucho Marx-style glasses covering his private area. The photo supposedly was taken by either John Goodman or Roseanne Barr herself after the three of them went out drinking one night.
Today.
No, I can't do it. We're 200 cases behind on the Gilman order.
Clooney played Booker, Jackie's boyfriend, and the foreman at Wellman Plastics early in the show's run. This was before ER made him a heartthrob, before Batman and Ocean's 11. He was just a working actor grateful for recurring sitcom work. The photo lived on the fridge for a while. The cast and crew saw it daily. Nobody thought much of it. Then one day it mysteriously disappeared from the set. No explanation, no note. It was just gone. Clooney probably took it, or someone who realized that photo might be worth serious money, Someday grabbed it before it could leak. Either way, the evidence of whatever happened that night vanished before it could become a tabloid story. And here's what this reveals about the Roseanne set. It was loose. The actors went drinking together. Photos of nudity ended up on communal refrigerators. The atmosphere was more frat house than professional workplace, which probably contributed to the authentic family chaos that made the show work. The naked photo that disappeared before smartphones could immortalize it represents a wilder era of television production, when what happened on set stayed on set unless someone literally stole physical evidence off the fridge. Number 6. The show filmed both Beckys for years without explaining. Lacey Goranson played Becky for the first 5 seasons. Then she left to attend college. The producers replaced her with Sarah Chalky.
Is this supposed to be dinner?
No, this is the cocktail.
And suddenly Becky looked completely different. Different face, different voice, different everything. The show didn't explain it. No joke about plastic surgery. No meta-reference to the actress change. Becky just looked different now, and viewers were expected to accept it and move on. Then Goranson came back. Then she left again. Then Chalk came back. For years, Becky kept changing faces depending on which actress was available. The show played musical chairs with a major character and refused to acknowledge it was happening. This wasn't unprecedented in sitcoms. Fresh Prince swapped Aunt Viv's. The practice was common enough that it had a name. The Other Darren from Bewitched. But Roseanne took it further. They switched Becky's multiple times, not just once. Goranson and Chalky each played the character across different seasons, sometimes returning for guest appearances when the other one was the regular. And here's the weird part. Audiences accepted it. Nielsen ratings didn't tank. Fans didn't riot. People just shrugged and kept watching, because Becky's face mattered less than the Connor family dynamic, which stayed consistent regardless of which actress showed up. The character, who got played by 2 different actresses across 9 seasons, proved that sitcom families live in the writing and the chemistry, not in the specific actors saying the lines. Number 5. The creator wanted to call it Life and Stuff, and Barr refused. Matt Williams developed the show with the working title Life and Stuff. He envisioned it as an ensemble piece about a working-class family struggling through everyday chaos. The title suggested multiple perspectives, shared stories, and group experience. Roseanne Barr said absolutely not. The show was based on her life. The scripts came from her experiences. The character was her. The whole thing existed because producers saw her stand-up act and thought it would work on television. And Williams wanted to call it Life and Stuff, like it could be about anyone. Barr insisted they name it Roseanne, her name, her show, her life on display every week. Williams probably argued that ensemble titles work better, that giving the show one name could limit its scope and storytelling possibilities. Barr didn't care. She won. The show was called Roseanne, and that single word in the title established exactly who was in charge from day one. This battle over the title revealed the fundamental tension that would eventually push Williams out. He saw himself as the creator bringing a concept to life. Barr saw herself as the source material being adapted for television. Both were right. Neither was willing to compromise. And here's the ironic outcome. Naming it Roseanne was the correct choice. The show's strength was always Barr's voice, her perspective, her specific take on working-class motherhood. Life and Stuff would have been generic. Roseanne was branded. The title fight that the creator lost helped make the show the phenomenon it became. Sometimes the star's ego produces better marketing than the creator's vision. Number 4. The Season 9 finale revealed Dan had died a year earlier. On May 20th, 1997, Roseanne ended its 9-season run with one of the most divisive finales in television history. After spending Season 9 following the Connors as lottery winners living extravagant lifestyles, the final episode revealed that none of it was real. Roseanne had been writing a book. The entire 9th season was fiction she'd created to cope with grief. Dan hadn't cheated on her. He'd died from his heart attack at the end of Season 8.
Find my channels, meridians, and my G-spots, and after that... Look here, I'm getting one.
The lottery win never happened. Jackie was gay, not their mother Beverly. Darlene and Becky had actually dated each other's boyfriends, not the couples shown on screen. Everything audiences had watched for an entire season was Roseanne's imagination, her attempt to write herself out of devastating loss and financial struggle. The happy ending was a lie. Dan was dead. They were still poor. Roseanne had spent a year making up stories because reality was too painful. Viewers were furious. Critics were baffled. The finale turned a beloved sitcom into a meditation on grief nobody had asked for. Time magazine called it off the rails loopy and compared it to Barr's own career, noting that she'd become an unbearable diva who'd forgotten the little people. But here's what the finale was trying to do. Season 9 had abandoned everything that made Roseanne work. The show was about struggling to pay bills, and suddenly they were millionaires. The whole point disappeared. The finale tried to salvage that betrayal by declaring it was all intentionally false. The most hated finale in sitcom history was actually a desperate attempt to fix an entire season that had already destroyed the show's soul. Number 3. Roseanne screamed at Matt Williams during the cast viewing party. When the pilot aired on October 18, 1988, the cast gathered for a viewing party. Everyone was excited. This was it, the launch of something they had all worked on for months. Then the credits rolled, and Roseanne Barr saw, created by Matt Williams. She exploded. Right there, in front of the entire cast, she screamed at Williams. This was her life. These were her kids, her marriage, her struggles transformed into scripts. Williams had spent a few weeks watching her, and now he got to claim creation of her existence. Williams tried to stay calm, tried to explain that the Writers Guild determines creator credits, that the process is out of his hands. Barr didn't care about guild rules or industry standards. She felt robbed. The party that should have been a celebration became an ugly confrontation. Cast members probably stood around awkwardly, not knowing whether to intervene or pretend they weren't witnessing their star threaten their showrunner's career. Barr called the credit discriminatory and bigoted. Williams insisted he'd created the show concept before Barr was even involved, that her life inspired it but didn't create it. Neither was entirely wrong. Neither was entirely right. And here's what this moment established. Roseanne Barr would fight for control of her show publicly, loudly, and without caring who watched. The cast viewing party confrontation set the tone for how Barr would run things going forward. The screaming match that ruined the pilot party predicted every behind-the-scenes battle that would follow. Number 2, a 2018 tweet canceled the revival and created the Connors. In March 2018, Roseanne returned for a revival season. 20 years after the original finale, the Connors came back to massive ratings. The premiere drew over 18 million viewers. ABC immediately ordered an 11th season. Everything looked perfect. Then, on May 29, 2018, Roseanne Barr posted a tweet comparing former Obama administration official Valerie Jarrett to Planet of the Apes. The backlash was immediate and severe. Within hours, ABC reversed its renewal decision and canceled Roseanne. The show was gone, millions of dollars lost, hundreds of crew jobs eliminated, a top-rated series destroyed by one tweet. Barr apologized, claimed she'd been under the influence of Ambien, and blamed her own bad judgment. But here's where it gets weird. ABC wanted the Connors back without Roseanne. They created the Connors, a spin-off that killed off Roseanne Connor via opioid overdose and continued the show with the remaining family. The series premiered in October 2018 and ran for 7 seasons. The show that got canceled because of its star's tweet became a different show without that star and kept going for years. Barr's character was written out, and the Connors became about the family dealing with Roseanne's absence. And here's the ultimate irony. The show that couldn't exist without Roseanne Barr proved it absolutely could exist without her. The family she'd insisted was based on her life continued living after she was removed from it. The tweet that destroyed Roseanne created the Connors, which ran longer than the original revival and proved that ensemble family dynamics matter more than any single star. Number 1, the show got retconned twice because the ending was that bad. The first retcon happened in the season 9 finale. Roseanne revealed that the lottery win was fake, Dan was dead, and she'd made everything up while writing a book. Audiences hated it. The show's grounded, realistic portrayal of working-class life got destroyed by a season of millionaire fantasies, then explained away as grief fiction. Then, in 2018, the revival retconned the retcon. Dan was alive after all. The lottery thing never happened. Jackie wasn't gay. Season 9 itself was the fiction, not the book Roseanne was writing. The show took back its own series finale and declared it void. When you watch the first episode of the revival, Roseanne wakes up next to Dan, looks at him, and says, "I thought you were dead." Dan responds with, "That keeps happening," in a meta joke about the original finale. Later, Dan finds the book Roseanne wrote years earlier and tells her it would have been successful.
And that means there's right and there's wrong. There's black and there's white.
If she hadn't written out its most compelling character. 2 retcons. The finale retconned the 9th season, then the revival retconned the finale. The show erased itself twice trying to fix what season 9 had broken. And here's why this matters. Roseanne became the only major sitcom to declare its own ending non-canon, then come back years later and redeclare what was real. The continuity is so tangled that even dedicated fans can't agree on what actually happened. The sitcom that prided itself on realistic portrayal of working-class American life ended up with the most unrealistic, convoluted, retconned timeline in television history. And there you have it. 15 weird facts about the show that took an inexperienced stand-up comedian, surrounded her with professionals, and created one of the most influential sitcoms of the 1980s and 1990s. From fired creators to stolen naked photos to a finale so bad they had to erase it twice, Roseanne was always messier behind the scenes than on screen. Which fact shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Roseanne, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more behind-the-scenes stories about the shows that define television. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we upload. And until next time, thanks for watching.